3 to 500 is NAR's national average, so you're behind.
I'm newer.
You're Do you know how many of those people sold their home, listed their home for sale last year?
No, I do not.
Well,
no idea.
Lucky for you, I know. Your CRM is only as good as what you put in it.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Welcome back to the REDX channel. I'm super stoked to have Connor, our head of product here at REDX. We're going to talk about some integrations. Before we get into integrations, I want to talk about CRMs and why that's so important for a real estate agent and ultimately why they need a good CRM.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you are a real estate agent that's trying to succeed, you need to look at what other agents are doing well. And the best agents are using CRMs and the best agents are prospecting.
Yeah.
Right. And so what's the role of a CRM for you as an agent? It's where you put all of your relationships, right? That's where all of your relationships belong. So if you're trying to find more business and you live and die by referrals, right? You live and die by your past book of business. You live and die by your sphere of influence. If that's not well organized and centralized, you're gonna have a tough time succeeding, especially in tough markets like today's.
Yeah. Your number one source of business comes from
My sphere of influence.
Sphere of influence, as it should. That's where people know you, like you, trust you. You keep your sphere of influence in your CRM.
Yep.
How many people do you have in there?
I've got about 200 people. 200.
Yeah, that's good. 3 to 500 is NAR's national average. So you're behind.
I'm newer.
Your hypothetical agent here, role playing, is behind. So 3 to 500 people, and you're getting all your business from there. Do you know how many of those people sold their home, listed their home for sale last year?
No, I do not.
Well,
no idea.
Lucky for you, I know. So the average for the entire country was 2.9%. So 2.9% are going to list, and sell their home. That's a pretty low number. So let's for math's sake, let's use 1,000. Let's say you have 1,000 people in your database. And it can't be internet leads because internet leads are known to have a 0.2% conversion.
Horrible.
Over a 24-month sales cycle. So let's just use, you've accumulated a lot of contacts and relationships. Yeah. Out of those 1,000 people, 3% are going to list their home for sale. That's 30 listings. What are the chances that every person in your sphere of influence is going to list with you?
Pretty low if I don't even know they're going to list.
Yeah. There's some cool tools that you should integrate into your CRM to help you know that. But yeah, there's 30. So if 30, now let me just do the math. If I add 100 for sale by owners, let's say over the course of a month, there's 100 for sale by owners in my marketplace. Yeah. And I make contact with each of them because I knock on their door or I have social media or send them postcard, whatever. Yeah. I call them on the phone, pick up the phone.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah. If you add 100, guess how many of those will list their home?
How many?
Do you know the stat?
I don't know the stat.
37.8%.
So you're saying if I'm working my sphere to get 30 plus deals, I need 1,000 people in my sphere of influence.
Well, let's say they're not deal. Yeah. What I'm saying is the amount of listings that will happen, and this is outside of referrals. Yeah. But the amount of listings that are going to happen statistically, this is not guessing. And this will vary. I mean, if you happen to live in a community where everybody's moving, then you're going to have a higher turnover rate, right? But the national turnover rate is 3%. So yeah, out of 1,000 people in your sphere of influence, there are 30 listings from those 1,000 people. If I add 100 for sale by owners to that, I just added 37 listings in my pool of people in my database. I just doubled the amount of listings that are going to happen from the people that are in my database.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, because your CRM is only as good as what you put in it. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
So all the features of nurturing and automation and all of these things are only ever as good as
the data that's in it.
The data that's in it.
Oh, man, the amount of agents I've talked to as we've researched some of the integrations that we've built that have a CRM and they're like, oh, check out all the bells and whistles and automation. They're like so sold on the sexiness of their CRM. Yeah. And then you get in there and it's like, well, this is like a ghost town. Yeah. Like, what's the point of a really fancy CRM if you don't have data that's actually bringing you deals?
Right. Right. So if you are a new agent, back to your fake role play agent here, he's new. If you did marketing activities with high list rate people, expireds and FSBOs, they're at about a 43% list rate. And if you are with FSBOs, 38% list rate. And if you are foreclosures, 16% list rate. If let's just use expireds and FSBOs because they're close, about 40%. We'll use an average. If you get 200 people that you're nurturing, 80 listings are going to hit the MLS. That's statistically significant for the whole country.
Mm-hmm.
But you would need, 5,000 people
to hit the same amount
of just everyday people that you're meeting to put in your sphere of influence. So we're not saying you replace your sphere of influence. We're saying that you build a sphere of influence of people who have a high list rate. But you do that, and we've for 20 years helped agents do that. And what happens is they make first contact and then they weren't following up.
Right.
The amount of people that would follow up with someone a second or third or fourth time was almost zero. And if 80% of the people are going to, take 2, 3, 4, 10, 12, 15 touches before they're finally going to list with you, it matters what you do with that contact from REDX, which is why we built all of these integrations. So,
100%.
So let's talk about why we built the integrations the way we did and what, who did we integrate with and why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we do when we go to build integrations is we talk to some of the best in the industry, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is set agents up for success. And so we want to understand, hey, when you're working your leads in REDX and you go and put them in your CRM, well, how are you doing that? And what they're doing is they go make contact. And just like you said, once they have got a name and a phone number and an email address, then they're moving it into their CRM so they can do all of the nurturing and the automation and the accountability that they're doing in their CRM. And so what we did is we set this up so that as you're prospecting, you build a contact card. You build that contact record that you're going to send over to your CRM. And then with a hit of a button, it's there, tagged, organized, ready to roll, and enroll in all of your automations. And I've had some people say things like, well, why don't you just dump them all in your CRM? Why don't you just select all, export, and dump them all in your follow-up boss or your BoldTrail or whatever, right? And the answer is we want to help you actually be a successful agent. Right. I've seen this happen with many agents where they go buy a list, cold list, and then throw it all on email campaigns. What happens? Your emails go to spam. Yep. What happens when you put them on your text campaigns? Your phone number gets shut down, right? You get punished for putting cold people into these campaigns. In fact, the best way to work cold contacts is the phone.
Yeah.
Everything else is so restricted and rigid that it is impossible to have a sustainable outbound way of working email and text. And so you've got to go and use the phone for that initial contact,
right.
or opt-in tools like our ad builder tool or postcards. So you grab that attention. And then once people start raising their hand, then you put them into your CRM so that you have a clean book of business that's not clouded by noise.
I'm just going to look up when Seth Godin wrote permission-based marketing, right? I mean, what was that, 20 years ago?
Yeah, yep.
You want permission to be able to communicate with someone because then they'll consume your stuff. And so, that's the process is REDX has a tremendous amount of high list rate people. Then we have all the marketing tools, the phone, social media, postcards. We encourage people to door knock. We encourage people to do client events or expert workshops and invite people to them. We encourage people to do open houses and high list rate turnover, areas, all because the more you make contact with those people and then you click that button, right? I verify, oh, this is Connor. Great. Connor, what's the best email? Oh, yep, I've got it right here. Great. Push that over into my CRM with tags, smart list campaigns, automations, whatever CRM, they call it different things. And then immediately that begins the follow-up. You okay if I send you a text? Okay, I delay that text 4 minutes from when that gets pushed in. Then I get a text that so great to talk to you. Mm-hmm. You begin to automate some of that follow-up.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's where most of the business happen in that automation.
Mm-hmm.
So follow-up boss.
Mm-hmm. BoldTrail.
kvCORE is
super excited about. Formerly
BoldTrail.
kvCORE. We've also got CSU, so that's great for reporting and stats. If that accountability side of things. We've got Lofty and Chime rolling out.
Yep.
Also Lead Connector.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different tools that are in the Lead Connector system.
Yeah.
High level, zero to diamond skills. These are all incredible platforms, and we've got more coming. And so if you've got suggestions, make sure you comment, go and request the feature in our app, And we're very focused on integrations right now, and we want to build more. And I think the thing that I think is important for any agent to understand as you're evaluating your tech stack, which is so important, is you've got to make sure you're using tools that help you be a better agent. And right now, especially with AI, there is a lot of sexiness and appeal in people that are promising to automate everything.
Yeah.
And as someone that loves to automate everything, it is a false promise.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to be one of the top agents. If you go talk to the top agents, they are not automating everything.
Yeah.
They have automation, 100%, but they are prospecting.
Right.
And so you need to make sure that you are prospecting and connecting that to your tech stack. And that's why we built all these integrations that we have.
Yeah. I think if people would think of AI as not artificial intelligence, but augmented intelligence, that it's augmenting what I'm already doing, because you can't automate or artificial create a relationship. It has to be authentic. You want authentic interactions with your people. You want to augment that with automations and the smart lists and whatever AI that you have working in the background. But that should just trigger authentic and real connection and communication with people. And that's how you make money.
I set up an automation as an experiment where it would automatically post things on Twitter for me. And it made a post that said, man, that was a crazy coffee date last night. That's what happens when you meet people at 2 a.m. And my wife came downstairs the next day. It was like, what was this post? And, when it's just automated and running, that's the kind of trouble you could get into, right? And what's interesting is, like, luckily I was hanging out at my house, so my wife wasn't actually worried. But think about sending that to a lead,
right?
Where your lead all of a sudden is like, oh, this person doesn't even care.
Yeah.
Like, you instantly burn the bridge, right? And as much as these tools can be helpful in augmenting us, I still think it is so important in a relationship business to actually take the time to build those relationships. And that starts with actually talking to people, picking up the phone and talking to them.
So you make connection, you push it into your CRM where you nurture.
Yep.
Right. So you you talk to people you don't know and get to know them.
And then
in REDX, and then you push it to your CRM, and that's where you nurture contacts to a close.
Yeah. Now you can automate a lot more once you actually talk to them on the phone and know what they need, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
Right?
Well, look, we have a ton of integrations. I know we're working. You didn't mention a bunch of them, but we probably have, 6, 7, 8 more prominent CRMs that we're working with, and those integrations are going to come out soon. But we're always looking to better improve those.
Sync, Wise Agent, Follow Up Boss, of course,
Sierra,
and they're again more on the way. So if you've got something you're using that you love, please let us know, because we want to help you be a better agent.
Thanks, Connor.
Thank you.